Welcome to Legends of the Hidden Horde, where we plunge into the shadows of the world's most enigmatic creatures, from the depths of forgotten lakes to the dark corners of ancient forests. We weave creative and mysterious tales of the cryptids that stalk the dark reaches of the globe. Blending folklore, eyewitness accounts, and imaginative twists, we explore their origins, cultural impacts, and the chilling implications of what might truly hide in the unknown. These are their stories. Join us if you dare. Now grab your crucifix and maybe a little holy water and follow me into the hills for episode 5, The Lone Pine Mountain Devil. The Alabama hills do not sleep. They brood beneath the shadow of Mount Whitney, jagged boulders like the knuckles of some ancient god clenched against the desert sky. Wind hisses through the Joshua trees and twisted pines, carrying whispers no outsider should hear. Locals in Lone Pine know better than to camp alone when the moon is thin. They speak of the mountain devil, only in lowered voices around dying fires, as if naming it might summon it from the rocks. The oldest tales drift back to the 1800s, when Spanish settlers and gold seekers pushed into the Sierra Nevada. Coyotes and bobcats began turning up half-eaten, not devoured for meat, but stripped of face and soft cartilage, torsos hollowed to bone while the rest rotted untouched. Something in those hills was not hunting for food, it was punishing. Then came 1878, a weary convoy of 37 souls, men, women, children, traveled the old trails toward a mission 110 miles north of San Diego. They made camp one night in the shadow of a lone pine that stood like a sentinel on the mountain's peak. Exhausted from the long journey, they lit a great fire to honor St. Roderick, a martyr who had died for his faith. The celebration turned wild. Trees were felled and burned for light and heat. Laughter became drunken song, and the flames clawed at the darkness. Only one man kept apart, Father Justus Martinez, a young priest traveling with the group. He withdrew to a small tent on the edge of camp, uneasy with the revelry. Through a tear in the canvas, he watched the night unfold. What descended from the twisted pines and black boulders was not storm or beast he had ever known. They came in a silent swarm, 4 to 6 feet of leathery wing and furred muscle, multi-wing like ancient dragons out of hell. Razored talons glinted in the firelight, long necks stretched forward, revealing rows upon rows of venomous fangs layered like the teeth of some impossible serpent. Their eyes burned red, unblinking. They moved as one pack, perfectly coordinated, dropping from the sky with high-pitched shrieks that split the air like breaking glass. The settlers never stood a chance. Father Martinez wrote in his blood-stained journal by the light of a single candle, my God, they're all gone. The winged demons have risen. What sin have they committed against each other and thy sacred earth? May the forgiving Lord not abandon their souls, which were taken from them into the depths of hell. And through the earthly fires of man, a sole tree remained on the mountain's peak, and the devils that spared me returned to the refuge of the lone pine on the mountain. The priest survived, some say because he had not joined the desecration. He stumbled into the mission weeks later, half mad, horse and supplies gone, speaking only in whispers. He took a vow of silence that lasted the rest of his days. The miners who found the camp 2 months later described horror, bodies scattered, faces unrecognized, torsos eaten clean to the bone. The rest of the flesh left to bloat and rot in the sun, untouched even by scavengers. A warning. Since that night, the Lone Pine Mountain Devil has become legend across the American Southwest and into northern Mexico. Not one creature, but a pack. Guardians of the wild, some call them. They do not hunt for hunger. They strike the head and the torso first, feasting only on soft cartilage and tender flesh, leaving the rest as a monument to their wrath. Livestock vanished. Hikers disappeared. Those who cut down trees without need, who litter the sacred rocks, who mock the old stories, They are the ones found hollowed out beneath the Alabama hills. Even now, in the new millennium, whispers return. Campers speak of shapes circling against the stars, the low hum of wings too large for any bird, the feeling of being watched by something that cancels sound itself, out of phase with the wind. Locals swear the devils defend the land. Any who disrespect the wilderness feel their gaze. The lone pine still stands, or so the stories claim, marked by fire and blood, a beacon for things that sleep in its shadow. And if you walk those hills after dusk, when the Joshua trees rattle like bones and the rocks seem to breathe, you may hear it, a faint screech carried on the desert wind. Not rage, not hunger, just the patient, eternal patience of something that has waited since the mountains were young, something that knows we do not belong here. The Lone Pine Mountain Devil is no mere monster of flesh and wing. It is the land's own memory made predatory, a living reminder that every wilderness keeps its own guardians, and every intrusion carries a price. In its selective hunger and merciless precision, the entity reveals a profound truth about our world. Nature does not need us to survive. We need it. And when we forget that balance, when we burn, desecrate, or doubt the old warnings, the world sends its shadows to teach us, one soft bite at a time, that some places were never ours to claim. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed that little hike into the hills, subscribe to the podcast, send me a follow on Instagram and Facebook, and until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows.